What's our closing argument?
Closing argument is that TikTok is definitely not going away. It's too big to fail, right? It's kind of that too big to fail at this point. I can tell you the TikTok users are not going to delete it from their app store knowing what they know from last time, because I saw people lose their app for a while and they were freaking out. Gentlemen, we are live.
Welcome to the Bullseye Podcast.
Michael whips out his broadcaster voice for us. Yes, it was very nice, very nice, very nice. I have two interesting controversial points that we could get started with.
Let's start with the controversial.
I think it's not too controversial. It's definitely in our wheelhouse, but I do think that it could have mixed feelings. So let's go ahead and get started. So as everybody knows, we were at Prosper last week. We met with a lot of people, a lot of service providers and different people trying to and seeing their strategies and what they're working on. There was two companies in specific, one Temu, one Shein, that looked like they were trying to onboard American brands onto their platform and kind of compete with Amazon and things like that. What's your thoughts? What do you guys think?
I think everybody is going to try to compete against Amazon. All these new companies are going to try. The thing is, here's the one thing they don't have that Amazon has: 20 years and 1,000 warehouses. So no matter how hard they try, no matter how hard they push, they can grow. They'll grow by 10%. But Amazon also grows by 10%. But then Amazon has 1,000 warehouses. Like, I'm sorry, that automatically is forming a monopoly because you just cannot compete with somebody who has 1,000 warehouses. Now, you can be cheaper than that. You can be cooler. You can offer better games. You can have a better relationship. You're going to get more users that way for sure. But same day or literally 3-hour shipping or next day shipping and the infrastructure that Amazon has with those warehouses, it's almost impossible to beat, because even if something's $5 more expensive on Amazon, I'm going to buy it because they're right to beat today. And that's how a lot of customers say.
That's an interesting point. Interesting. Ian, what's your take?
Positive take is I like that Temu and TikTok Shop specifically are taking a little bit of a piece out of the monopoly that is Amazon.com, because Amazon, being a monopoly, has been unfriendly, in my opinion, to sellers over the past few years, with increasing fees, increasing bureaucracy, approvals, regulations, taking down listings left and right, kicking people off the platform left and right, those things. So I'm hoping that they, in aggregate, take some of the pie of the just general American e-commerce, so that Amazon, I would like Amazon to have a down year. I actually think that would be good for Amazon to reflect and kind of maybe make themselves a little bit more appeasable to sellers. However, on the other end, why would a shopper buy on Temu when tariffs are now imposed? Why would a shopper not go? I just don't know what Temu is going to offer that Amazon can't do, other than maybe discounted products and racing to the bottom. That's the only thing about Temu I don't see. So like right here, what the Temu representatives were telling us yesterday on our call was there's a new badge, and that badge is right here. For the audio listeners, it's called Local, and those are American sellers. And what the Temu rep told us yesterday is if you are local, your products will come up first in search, which I just confirmed is accurate. So if you're in the US with a US IP and you're searching for, in this case, magnesium glycinate, you're going to see the local options first. And those are all US based sellers. So I think it's interesting, and I'm wondering how it's going to play out. And my last thought is the only issue is look at these prices. Who in the hell can afford to sell a magnesium glycinate bottle for $7.20? Not many people.
Absolutely. So I'll give you my take now. As being a manager of many brands and working with multiple people on Amazon, I know that people's loyalty to a brand is around $1 to $2 in discount. So I do know that if you come in selling the same product for $10 to $15 cheaper than Amazon, people's first thoughts is it fraudulent? And once they get past that kind of initial idea and they realize that it's genuine, why would you spend $15 more on a platform if you're getting the same product? So I think that it could make a dent. And so as we were talking, we said, well, what about having pricing errors? Honestly, I don't think that Amazon considers them an American platform. And so they haven't actually made that stipulation. But I do think that once they get Amazon's attention, I know that Amazon will do something that will make it, they will punish the seller in some way to make it, or try to maybe persuade them to to do something, because Amazon makes up probably 99% of the, or 90% of the revenue. And so I think that once they get noticed by the giants, something will happen. And with that being said, so supplements, sure, mostly are from the US. Not a lot of people want to buy supplements from China. But if you look at all the other products on Temu, there are a lot of products that are in the US marketplace that are from China. And I think it would destroy a lot of private label sellers in the US. And I feel that I don't think it would be good for the U.S. economy and U.S. sellers specifically.
So let's illustrate what you're talking about.
Pros and cons, though. I mean, Temu is not going to take out Amazon itself. They don't have enough. They need 10 years to do it, right? So, and maybe in 10 years, they'll start to be a little bit of a threat. Just building while they're building their infrastructure. Temu, combined with TikTok, combined with Shein, combined with everything, and Walmart.com, and all of these guys together are the threat to Amazon. And it's the conglomeration. Amazon is, as a conglomerate, bigger than all. But if they start to not work together, but just enough business goes outside of Amazon to those platforms, that's what Amazon will start to turn itself into. We need to change something.
Yeah.
So here's the example of what Eric's talking about, just to illustrate it for the audience. Is Eric's talking about, right now, maybe Amazon's not noticing that this product is for sale on Amazon for $13.99. And the same product is on sale at Temu.com for $9.81. How long is it going to take for Amazon to notice that and penalize the listing here on Amazon and basically remove the buy box for the seller because they see Temu has the same product for $4 cheaper?
Exactly.
I mean, there's a hack there.
Yeah, but
Amazon's bonds screen both prices. So Amazon will not remove the buy box if you're on a sale on another bottle.
So what's that full price here? $19.99? It's in very small numbers.
So they're having a sale, right? And exactly. So Amazon's bot, and people aren't scraping, it's bots scraping. Bots are scraping. Well, bots are scraping even, but they're scraping. And then Amazon is okay. And I'm verifying this. Amazon's okay when the platform going on sale on a temporary sale with a slash price. And then those buy box.
One thing that I would say is I don't think that Temu's been added to the bots requirements yet. I don't think that Amazon is really even noticing them in the US space yet. But I do think that there is some disparity in prices that will get their attention at some point when they make a dent. And like you were saying, so you said TikTok, you said Walmart. Once they start to combine themselves, it is going to make a dent. And so this brings me to my second controversial point. And I saw this yesterday and I said, oh my God. Now, what would happen if Amazon bought TikTok?
Yeah. It's like,
I was like,
wow. Now, the odds of this happening, by the way, are very low, but it could.
I don't know. I think that maybe Amazon is seeing a change in the industry and maybe they're going to make a play like this to stay on top. And if they did that, I think that this would keep them on top for another decade, like easily.
Yeah. And then it just also further, if they do it, now we have the ultimate. We have a TikTok shop associated with Amazon, and the whole infrastructure combines, and now Amazon as a whole. They're going to keep it separate, but it's just, and the problem is Amazon's treatment toward its sellers now goes on TikTok, which means now they know they're the king. So it's just like England and Scotland, basically, at this point, like where all the sellers are Scotland, and Amazon is the English king, and imposing taxes and prima nocta, if you guys know what that was from Braveheart, not as being a royal subject. It's a royal nobleman gets to, do your wife on your wedding night as a great honor to you.
What an honor.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I honestly don't believe that we have any anti-monopoly laws in place anymore. Just Amazon wouldn't be the giant it is today if we did, in my opinion, because they own so many things in the space. But I think that if they bought TikTok, it would put them on top of the game by miles for another 10 years. And they probably would incorporate the platforms in ways that would strengthen what we do as an agency, being that we're experts in both marketplaces. I think it could be good for us, and it could help us fight against some of what Temu and Shein's trying to do. I honestly think for an agency and an American service provider, I think it would be good for us.
I don't think it's going to go away. I think there is a lot of opportunity. as of the 5th, which is in 2 days from this recording, to kick the can down the road. It doesn't look like anyone's freaking out about it being banned, meaning TikTok itself. I mean, we were meeting with TikTok in Las Vegas, and they are just bullish, and they don't seem to have a worry in the world. I mean, it just seems to like business as usual. We missed the podcast recording last week, so I think that we should update everybody on last week, our trip in Vegas, what we saw. It was kind of an incredible week. We
Absolutely.
Historically, Bullseye has been an Amazon agency, Amazon focused account management agency for years. We still are Amazon focused. However, we typically, out of all of our leads that we get in for a trade show, we typically see 99.9% of them are Amazon focused. Last week, however, just to kind of get people behind the scenes, we made about 40 appointments with sellers, e-commerce sellers at the booth. And out of those 40 appointments, 38 of them were for TikTok and 2 of them were for Amazon. So
that's incredible.
Tells me 2 things. It tells me, one, a lot of Amazon sellers don't have the bandwidth to manage TikTok on their own. That's for sure. And 2, TikTok is the new gold rush. Everyone's running over there. They got their Amazon pretty much locked down. They got their ads. They got their listing optimization done. People are pretty established on Amazon, and TikTok is the new frontier. So what have we learned in the last 30 days, guys, on TikTok Shop?
That's a great question. Just to show you one thing, just to strengthen your point about the gold rush, it's not just you saying it. It's not just speakers at Prosper, masterminds around the country. It's all over the place. So like you're seeing it everywhere on YouTube. It is like this person is a founder, and I believe it was I think it was Genius Mushroom Genius, that supplement brand that he exited from, and he's growing another brand, and he's talking about how TikTok Shop is the gold rush. It is where the action's at, and people are seeing this everywhere, as well as it's being mentioned in all the masterminds and the conferences. So just to strengthen that point, if you get the time, I definitely would recommend watching that video. It's very interesting. Talks about his exit and everything. Now, what did we learn in the last 30 days? Well, for me, I'll just go first. I learned that TikTok essentially is an FBM business model, which means that you're required to do all your customer service, handle all your refunds, and you're responsible for making sure your cost per acquisition gets down. And your goal is to get your every brand to FBT, to lower their fulfillment costs so that they can actually be profitable, because an FBM business model is far less profitable because of the shipping costs given to the brand. So the goal is to try to reduce cost per acquisition and fulfillment costs as quickly as possible while scaling, which is a challenge for every brand. That is one thing that I learned. The other thing that I learned is the goal is to get about 30 to 50 converting videos as quickly as possible, and then compound those monthly with new converting videos. To me, that is how you can scale a brand. Now, if you do get lucky and happen to have a viral video, you will notice that that's where you kind of get that organic aspect to TikTok, and you can get it where the GMV shows a higher number than you're attributed to your advertising sales. And that is really where the profit comes in, and you kind of succeed as a brand. However, again, I want to get just decently converting videos. That is my goal. But if we get lucky, that's also awesome. That's what my 30-day take is.
So you had one of your clients had a viral video this week, right?
Yeah.
How's that going now? I think it's been 2 days. How's the organic ratio versus paid on that account? And it's now 2 days into a video that's performing without paid ads.
Yeah, it had $5,000 over the as of yesterday. It had $5,000 in additional sales than the advertising sales attributed yesterday. Now, what today has in store, I don't know. But what I did do is, so when you have this opportunity, is you strengthen that relationship and you make a retainer out of that creator, because what TikTok did is they made a win-win formula. And so the creator they get fully incentivized to make great content. And when they actually make good content, it shows in the result. So first thing we did is we reached out to them and we're working out a relationship so they can continue to add great value. And what happens when you have a good video is that everybody makes copycats of that video, because there's something to it that they're just trying to get a piece of that converting video. So we got a retainer, we created a relationship. And so my goal is to see where we can go as fast as possible.
Okay. I like it. What about you, Michael? What have you learned on TikTok in the last 30 days? What haven't you learned? But we'll just start with what have you learned?
But a lot of what I learned is about the community building aspect of it, I'd say. So And to even to Eric's point is that relationship, strengthening that relationship. And the idea that I'm trying to impose on, every affiliate for every account, every brand is the affiliates are people, right? They have lives, they have their parents, their brothers, sisters, they whatever kind of criteria they have in the day. But if they are inspired by you, or if you have good messages and you really show that you care about them, and you do that times 1,000 people, and you're building a community, and that's what TikTok essentially is. And the best brands in the world, the biggest brands in the world, are community building brands. And so even to like what Eric's done with that one creator of like, let's talk, let's work together, thinking of brand ambassadors like a retainer, like he built a relationship. And if you can do that with 1,000 people, right? If you can do that with 10,000 people, it's just taking orders of magnitude, right? So if you have a lot of those people, the biggest takeaway out of everything last month is every person is a person and they want a relationship. And sure, they're ignoring you, and sure, they're ignoring your DMs, but you're trying to build a relationship with them and you want them on your team. You're recruiting them, right? So, and then when they do join your team, you got to keep them in. You got to resell them. Keep them engaged in your team, give them prizes, like keep them motivated. And just like you work with any other person in your company, like if you have a staff that you're just completely ignoring, like you have a salesperson in your company, you're completely ignoring them. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want to. They're going to lose. They're going to quit. I think it's a toxic workplace, so they just don't want to work with you anymore. You're just a negligent guy. But same with affiliates, like, and the problem is every single affiliate you can get from one another, right? So then, and using tools and software, even if AI, to have them feel like that is building a community. And then you get your community built, and you bring it onto Discord, you bring it onto Facebook, you build communities outside of that. And if you are good at it and you establish you're a good relationship builder, you times them by 10,000 or 100,000, you have $1 billion brand. And that's really the simplicity of community build, right? So, and that's what TikTok has the opportunity to do, is maybe build a community for us to build some communities in. And the affiliates is just part of our community.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Michael. That video that I showed, I would like to see if we could get it tagged into the description of this video. It's the founder talking about the gold rush. But one thing that he talked about, which I found was very interesting, was he talked about how did Andrew Tate become the most Google man in the world. And he did it through affiliates, and he paid affiliates to make his content on thousands of channels, and he became the highest trending person in the world. And so the guy went on to say in the video that it doesn't, like, first of all, he said the branded content does not matter at all. I mean, if you have a good team and they're making good videos, sure. But he said 99% of the sales come from the affiliate. And he said it says quantity over quality. He said you just got to get content going at such a pace to start to get momentum. And if you watch the video, if you don't sign up by TikTok or increase what you're doing on TikTok by the end of the video, then watch the video again because you're misunderstood the message. TikTok is the modern day gold rush, and I totally believe that, and I see the result across the board. I'm very excited to see where we are in a year from now.
Let's see if I can share some excerpt from that video you're referring to here. Is this the one?
Yeah.
All right. So how's my audio?
Like 35 million. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Genius brand, and it's a great video.
So is this guy the owner of the Genius brand?
Yeah, he was the founder and he exited. I think he's talking about a new project he's working on, if I'm not mistaken, or something to that effect.
Happening with TikTok. Like Shop is a component of that. That's the center of their model. But you think about even restaurants, you think about Google, you think about Facebook, Meta ads, like all of there's a paradigm shift. So a good example, my now ex-wife and I went to Tokyo like a year and a half ago. If we went 5 years ago, she would have gone to Google to search for restaurants. She would have Yelped. Now she goes on TikTok and wants to visually see what is going on, right? That shopping is turning more live. All of these things are fundamentally changing. Even the creators of this last generation, the influencers, they're coming up off short form content. We all know how important, clipping and all of that stuff is.
By the way, I read that 30% of Gen Z's primary news source is TikTok.
Yep.
And then same thing, primary search engine. So in my company, we did a little poll there that we were trying to work on our Google search result.
Yep.
And I was asking our employees, I was like, so when you Google for this, what do you do? They go, I don't really Google for that. I just go to TikTok and type in the name, and then whatever comes up on TikTok is what I use.
Yep.
That blew my mind because I wasn't using TikTok as a search engine.
Yep. And that's the paradigm shift, and that's the opportunity because it's so early, and I don't like the word like gamifiable, but when you just think through these new models and like how information is being shared, that's where the brands of the future are being created. That's where the artists of the future are being created. That's where like fashion design, it's all happening through this new means of distribution.
Yeah.
I'm inspired.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
30%,
right.
30% of news is coming. Gen Z is getting 30% of their news from TikTok.
I give about 100% of TikTok.
Wow.
And I'm a millennial.
You're a millennial. You're like an old fart.
I'm an old, balding, mustache wearing fart.
Dad bod millennial fart.
Yeah,
And you're still getting it.
My forehead is growing an inch every year. Millennial.
Yeah, exactly. It's what do you guys think Instagram is gonna trail TikTok in this model of social selling?
I think they would have done it already. I think they have not cracked the code, and it seems like the innovation from Meta and Instagram is, they think they reached a pinnacle point or a big point in their company, just like Amazon did. How much innovation has Amazon done in the last 2 years of their platform? How much innovation has Meta done on their platform in the last 2 years? And then how much innovation has TikTok done? How many new software programs, how many new tools? Back in the day, the opportunity on Amazon was like every month they had a new tool, a new way, a new system, a new marketing. They was like kicking them out. And then now they sort of slowed down. They still have stuff coming out, but it's like really slowed down. So is Instagram. I think these companies get big enough to a point where they sell it. And they're resting on their laurels. They're sitting on the throne and they're getting fat on the profits. TikTok is hungry, they're bullish, and they're innovating, and they're changing, and they're evolving, and look at what they've done just with SEO and the search engine aspect of this TikTok and how much that's changed over the last year. TikTok shop only 18 months old. So, and you know what? They're not as big as, are they as big of a company as Amazon altogether? No, not yet, but they're fast approaching.
One thing that I would add, and I spoke to people about this when we were at Prosper, was that every day Amazon is increasing a new fee. And it's because they're sitting on their laurels, they're fat, they're greedy, and they essentially have no competition, right? So they have the ability to do so. And that's what the power of competition is because it lowers fees. It makes them have to compete, which they don't have to. They have the monopoly. So TikTok is hungry. They're willing to lose money to get your business, and they are showing it across the board. And I think that is incredible. And right now, their fees are dramatically lower. But you fast forward a couple of years, it'll be the 15% like Amazon. Everything will catch up. So if you're not on there now and you don't get that momentum now, and you try to get in, the barrier to enter will be far greater. And nowadays, every year, I believe that getting into the game is just a little bit more expensive. So starting earlier on TikTok, I think is going to be better. And let's say Amazon did buy them. Well, all of a sudden, I guarantee it, the fees would go up almost immediately because now they would have a monopoly of monopoly. Like it would be ridiculous. Right now, it is a competitor. And so honestly, it might be good that I would like it if some American company bought it, but it might not be good if it was Amazon because the fees would just go up and it would just make it even harder for sellers to enter the market. It needs competition. Competition is good for everybody.
Well, I think that Amazon smartly wouldn't change anything like right off the bat, but they would slowly roll out, their higher fees. And if they did integrate, let's say, they're actually tracking from TikTok shop integrated with Amazon and FBA and all that stuff. I mean, there's no way. Like sellers are all completely forced to do it. So they could charge whatever they want. They probably would do it anyway because they would want to just like kill the whole game. But it's kind of like any civilization when there's a tyrannical king. Everything's gradual. They don't just like, historically, sometimes when they do it overnight, they roll out 50% tax on everybody. There's a major revolution and falls and played it. They just do it gradually. They impose 1%, 5%, 10%. And then pretty soon, no one even says anything. It was like, oh, it's just 15%.
Absolutely. I always look forward to the yearly email that I get from Amazon talking about the fee increase. It seems like they do it on an annual basis, but first thing that could happen is you could see MCF. So like the FPT shipping, which is about half of it is MCF, could now be the cost of MCF. Or you could see the cost per click increase. I think it would be gradiently like you're saying, but I think it would be noticeable.
So this year, as of 2025, there are about 500,000 U.S. merchants selling on TikTok Shop. To put that into comparison, I have another slide here. Amazon is 1.9 active sellers as of 2024. 1.9 million. So TikTok is only at about 25% market saturation in the US of brands.
Wow.
That's why our
How
booth is
many
over
how
there.
many sellers in the US did TikTok say?
They said about half a
$1.9 million, 500,000. So there's a third.
quarter.
Yeah.
A quarter.
A
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah. And they're only generating about 11 billion as of 2024. I'm sure now that would be a run rate of probably closer to 20 billion this year, because this year they're blowing up. But if you put that into comparison, 20 billion in sales on TikTok Shop, look how far off they are between Amazon at 1.56 billion. So there's one quarter the amount of brands, and they're only doing, let's just say it's 20 billion. They're only doing, what's 20 billion out of 156 billion? That's like what, 8%? 8% of the sales. Here's why though. What we've surveyed with our audience, which we went over a couple of weeks ago, right? Remember, 61.8% of shoppers will watch a TikTok video and decide to make a purchase. Will go to Amazon.
So that TikTok revenue is now accounting for 60% of it, which they bought from Amazon. And that's my first thought, by the way, in the Amazon acquisition of TikTok is Amazon doesn't want TikTok to grow because they know that 60% or so of the sales are going over that. So like we can't lose these guys. These guys are actually just supporting us. And TikTok's really trying to figure out a way to not support Amazon so much and actually the competition. And they probably both know this. And they're like, yeah, TikTok's generating tons of revenue for sure. But Amazon's like, I can't lose you. You're my best friend. We're in bed together. And TikTok's like, I don't want to be in bed with you. I want to have my own. I want my own thing.
And after like a couple of months of that, somebody was sitting in the boardroom and was like, why don't we just buy them? And
yeah, because you can imagine Amazon's going to lose. What is that? So, I mean, it's not a number it could be 20 billion a year in sales from TikTok if TikTok goes away. It could be up to that number, 20 billion a year in sales from TikTok.
Now imagine this. You're on TikTok, consumer goes to checkout and they see the Prime label. They see the trust that they have learned to love. I guarantee you TikTok would explode. The infrastructure is already there. It would instantly explode.
You're saying FBT, fulfilled by TikTok, being universally available with some sort of 1-2 day shipping fulfillment from a TikTok fulfillment center.
I mean, they literally could you could get, let's say they purchase, you could get an email to every FBA seller saying, would you like to start the TikTok beta program? And we'll automatically onboard you to the platform and you'll have fulfilled by Prime and start selling within 3 days. They'll probably have a team that gets the content
like TikTok Plus, like TikTok Plus. Let's just say, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like Walmart tried to do and no one cares.
And we'd like 3% of your revenue, just like every other beta program.
I mean, for that aspect, it'd be great. So like having the Prime badge on TikTok, it was a shop video and it's fulfilled and it's going to arrive. And it says that it's going to arrive today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that 11 million would literally, and Amazon's 150 billion, you can see a $250 billion increase in the next year or two from that. And so if they bought it for 100 billion, and it paid for itself in 2 years.
Wow. Well, that's the whole point of a strategic relationship. Strategic valuations are always higher. So Amazon would have to pay a premium in order to get it. They'd have to pay a premium.
Do you think they're offering 100 billion or do you think it's greater?
They can afford it.
This is true.
I think if Amazon's putting in a bid, Amazon's putting in a bid to make everyone else who put in a bid look like small chump change. I know Oracle put in a bid too, because Oracle actually is their server partner. So that's really smart. I would prefer an Oracle acquisition because I personally would, it scares me that Amazon furthers their monopoly with an ownership of TikTok Shop in the US. That would be very bad news for me. I mean, look, the worst news for me would be TikTok's gone. That's for sure. The second worst news would be, oh, now your stepfather, who's already a tyrant, now bought your favorite platform. That would literally intimidate the heck out of me, knowing where they're headed in the next 24 months with Amazon at the helm. My ideal outcome is, God, I don't want BlackRock to buy them either, because BlackRock scares the crap out of me, right? And that's another one that made a bid. I think Oracle would be my favorite. Oracle would be the one where they don't have any other skin in the game, where they're going to want to go in and change everything. Oracle's just going to want to keep things going at the status quo. Oracle's not going to be like, no, we want to do this like Amazon would.
Now, what do you think about OnlyFans? Because they also submitted a bid.
Yeah. So the group that owns OnlyFans, so here's what's happening with OnlyFans. OnlyFans is really trying to get out of the stigma of being a porn site. Okay. They're basically sponsoring a bunch of athletes that are not doing pornographic content. They're just kind of giving you behind the scenes content. And OnlyFans is really, really trying to get out of that hole. We're basically, sponsoring pornography.
Wow.
That's going to take a long time. So I do see why OnlyFans would have an interest in this, because they have a struggle over there. And this would be an interesting path for them.
It would be. And you definitely gave the most optimistic statement on that regarding OnlyFans, because that could take a turn for the negative. Because in my opinion, that platform is probably 90% just porn. In my opinion, I would.
99% porn.
Yeah, I don't know if they could. I don't know if they can
I
rebrand them.
haven't heard
Yeah.
of not porn. I actually never heard about porn on OnlyFans. I was known as a porn site.
So here's why I know, because I'm a big UFC fan, and I follow men in the UFC. I don't really follow a lot of the women. I'm a little bit more of the ilk of men fighting men, but they are doing sponsorships with these guys. And these guys are actually going on their Instagram going, hey, despite what you think, this is what we're offering. And they're trying to, they're getting these really big sponsorship deals to try to get people to pay a membership fee to become it's just, at the end of the day, I don't know how that's going to work. Like, would I pay $5 or $10 a month on OnlyFans to watch one of my favorite UFC fighters workout routine? I could just watch his YouTube or Instagram. I don't know if I'd pay that.
Well, keep in mind that marketing agenda or pivot or rebrand is being paid with porn dollars. Just to let you know. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know. I wish them the best of luck. I hope that they don't get it. Nothing personal, but I hope that they do a rebrand, and I hope that, because I don't really like the culture of today. I'm going to do a rant. So I know that I'm old, just like Michael is old. I'm 44 years old, but when I was growing up, if you got a picture that you would see on Instagram today, that would be considered kind of, what would be the word for it? I don't know, a little bit pornographic. So like what you see on Instagram today would be considered porn when I was younger. So like the generation, I feel like we're going in the wrong direction, and I feel like OnlyFans kind of is even taking in a worse direction. And so I really would like to see us going in a better direction, where we strengthen the look of women, and we start getting back to family and building this country up and going in a different direction. So I know that was a rant, but I just had to go there.
Well, I mean, it's degrading the culture. It's degrading the woman's body, and it's just got out of control with the allowances. Like, it was like back in the 1950s. I mean, you posted that kind of shit. You were. And it's very niche. Like, porn back in the 1950s, 1960s was very, very like small, tiny little community. And you wear dresses, you wear shirt, whatever. The female body is sacred, and now it's just exposed everywhere. Like, everybody shows all their skin, and for us guys, we're like, and it looks good, we love it, but it screws their head a little bit, especially when we're married kids. Show that off in public or on their Instagram or something. I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it. I prefer just that I never saw it in the first place, because now it causes the story, right? So, and then all those programs that encourage that. It's just like, what's the happen? What do you do? Screw stuff. That's fine, right? But yeah, I agree.
Let's get back on topic. So, Ian, what's our closing argument?
Closing argument is that TikTok is definitely not going away. It's too big to fail, right? It's kind of that too big to fail at this point. Someone's going to buy it.
In the App Store again. That's the first short period of time, but that doesn't really change. Just download TikTok. We don't have it.
Well, I can tell you, the TikTok users are not going to delete it from their App Store, knowing what they know from last time, because I saw people lose their app for a while and they were freaking out. Yeah, I mean, I know this. I know that Amazon's probably a good fit. Amazon tried launching their own TikTok-like short form video and photo feed. I don't know if you guys remember, but it was called Inspire. Did anyone ever hear of that? You guys ever heard of Inspire? They already shut it down. Okay. So, they've failed to do what TikTok is doing. And the fact that they've failed is just going to increase their enthusiasm for the purchase. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next 48 hours. Also, they could just kick the can down the road for another 45, 90 days and no one buys it. And we're just kind of back to business as usual. But either way, as an owner of an agency that at this point is doing an ever-growing amount of TikTok management, I'm incredibly excited. I feel like a kid in a candy store. I talk to about 4 or 5 sellers every single day that are at this point salivating to get on TikTok and sell. This is going to be a great year. This is going to be a great several years. And I'm just really bullish on it. So if someone's listening to this and they're not on TikTok, unless they have an incredibly commoditized product that's not really brand recognizable, they're missing out. They need to get on TikTok right away. That's my closing argument. So, all right, guys. Well, this is
Thank you for joining us today on the top podcast that's ever lived on the podcast world. Join us on YouTube, Discord, X, and
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. Subscribe to our OnlyFans channel.
That would be Eric. That would be Eric's channel.
Yeah.
Eric has a beautiful right hand that he does photos of. So if you want to see Eric's right hand, there it is. He charges a lot of money for that hand.
I can't show any more than
He's
that.
Yeah.
It was a free sample. It was a free sample. All right.
All right.
Awesome.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody.
Till next time.
Till next time. Bye.